I've made a few things for April, and I want to share them with you right now. So I have been sewing, and I think I mentioned to you a couple of weeks ago that Jennifer Moore from the Sewing Report, she has a YouTube channel, she has an Instagram page, had a wonderful offer to, she was destashing fabric and patterns and I'm not sure what else. And so the offer was that for $5, all you had to do was to say that you wanted that particular grouping of items, and she would send them to you. And the first person to make that comment would get the little package. So, and all the packages were different. And so I commented, and for $5, which pretty much just covers the shipping, she's in Atlanta, I got some fabric and I think 5 patterns, and I showed all of this to you in a previous video. The patterns were nice. Some of them I didn't think, some of them were sort of formal, and I thought that I really wouldn't have any occasion to wear them to. But they also, most of those formal looking patterns also had a variation that you could sort of tone down and wear for every day. So one of the patterns was this one. And I would never, I'm not a fan of the high-low, and that I would not wear. The only one I thought I would wear was this one. This could be a casual sort of everyday. I've shown you this pattern before, but again, I'll let you take a look. So I cut the size 14. I wear 12 and ready to wear. The measurements for the size 14 were correct on the back of the pattern, pretty much. And this pattern is not difficult. It's not labeled as easy, but I think it is fairly easy. I think a new sewer could do it if they just paid attention to the directions. So what I did was I made, I don't know if you can tell, but there's, you know, a part of the upper skirt here which is lined, and then there's the bottom part which is gathered here in the front and also gathered in the back. I made this pattern out of a contrasting fabric. The lower part was done using the fabric sent to me by Jennifer Moore of the Sewing Report. So for this pattern, I used the pattern that I got from her plus the fabric that I got. The fabric was just absolutely lovely. It was a cotton, I'm not sure if it was a lawn. I don't really know what a lawn is. I've heard it described different ways when I shop at Hobby Lobby. And I do shop at Walmart. Nothing is ever labeled as a lawn. So, you know, it'll say cotton or whatever, but I don't know. So I used this pattern was for wovens, and I'll show you, I'll stand up and show you this. So it's really a nice pattern. And I'll just try to tell you if there's anything that I found that was a little bit tricky. I did do the upper part of the skirt first. It called for an invisible zipper. I don't do invisible zippers. I used a regular zipper. So I put the entire front piece together. However, with the exception of the zipper seam, which a zipper seam you're going to have to do with 5/8 of an inch because you're going to have to catch the zipper within that seam allowance, so you can't really do a narrow seam there. So I did that as a regular 5/8 inch seam, but the other seams, and there's splits, there's a center piece in the middle, 2 side fronts, a center piece in the, or I'm sorry, 2 center pieces in the back because there is a zipper, and then 2 side back pieces. So with all of the other seams, I did a narrow seam a fairly narrow seam, and I did it with the basting stitch. So at that point, with the zipper in and all the sides sewn, I could slip it on and try it on. I thought it was just a little tight, so when I sewed the seams in for good, I did make a slightly narrower seam with a regular stitch. And when I think back and look at it, I probably could have just left it as it was, but the skirt fits fine. The other thing is I hate doing gathers worse than anything. My gathers, they don't come out right. I know how to do gathers, but it's not something that I enjoy. So this pattern called for doing the gathers on the back and on the front separately, sewing the pieces together, adjusting them, and then sewing it to the upper part of the skirt. And that's what I did. I did, though, for the front bottom part, I cut a size 12 to reduce some of the width and the gathers. The back is much more heavily gathered. So if I ever make this skirt again, I will decrease the width of the back piece because it doesn't need that many gathers. It's just too much to worry with. Just a light gathering I think would do fine with this. The bottom, I just did a regular hem. I serged the bottom. It's kind of a circular hem. I had no problem with it. I serged it and then ironed it up one time and stitched it down. Everything else was just pretty straightforward. The upper piece is lined. That's not difficult to do. The only thing I have not done to totally finish the skirt is to tack down the lining to the sides of the zipper and to tack it down to the outside part of the upper part of the skirt. So I have not done that, and I need to do that, and that has to be done by hand, and I don't like hand stitching either. But I'm going to show you. My legs are white. It's still winter time here, and I need to put some self-tan on, but I'm just going to show you what this looks like. I paired this with a white knit top. I don't know really what I would wear with this. I'm going to have to think about it. I didn't have enough of the fabric that I got from Jennifer Moore to do the upper part of the skirt, so that's why I used a contrasting fabric. I used black because that's what I had. I think gray might have worked better to match the sort of a light aqua. I think would have been too challenging. I don't think I would have been able to have found an exact match for that. So like I said, a dark gray or a lighter gray might have been a better choice, but I didn't have that on hand, and part of what I'm doing is getting rid of all the fabric in my stash. So I'm going to stand up and let you take a look at the skirt. Again, I have pins in the back zipper because I need to tack that down, but otherwise it is a finished product. So I'm going to stand up and show you. Okay, so this is it, and the back looks like that. This is the part that is heavily gathered, which I think could be reduced. This is just a light gathering, which I like. And so this is the top here. There is some understitching here, which is good. It'll help to keep the facing tucked in nicely. Again, I do have some extra room here. Probably a ½ an inch that I could have sewn a regular seam. So that's that. I would recommend this pattern. I think it's a nice pattern. I think the sizing is pretty good. The only modification would be to decrease some of the gathers, not so much in the front. Now that I've sewn it, I could have cut a size 14 and had a few more gathers in the front because it's meant to have fewer gathers. The back, definitely I would cut that smaller and have fewer gathers. So that's that. I do have another make to show you, and I'm going to have to change clothes. But this is it. I have shown you this before. This is McCall's M7116. I love this pattern. It is absolutely wonderful. I have made this one with the elastic in the neckline twice. This pattern is horribly missized. You can look at the review that I did in a prior video to, to hear what I had to say about it. So the first one I made, I cut a size 14. I wear a 12, I'm ready to wear. I ended up giving it to my daughter. She normally wears an 8 or a 6, and it fit her a little bit big, so probably for her a 12 in this pattern would work. So I made it again, and I cut it at a 16. I had already cut the 14, but I just cut bigger at probably ½ an inch on all of the side seams, and it works. It's lovely, and I'm going to try it on for you, and I will be right back. This is it. This is the bottom part. That's the back. And this is the top. This is elasticized. It does cover your bra straps well. I said that in the prior video. There's a side zip here. It's easy to do. I forgot there was a side zip when I just went to put it on, and it actually went on without my unzipping it, which is interesting. But it's lovely. This is a light to medium weight cotton. I showed this to you in another video. I paid at Habitat for Humanity, I think it was, I paid $2 for this fabric. And it's just adorable. This is a great summer dress. Again, I recommend the pattern wholeheartedly. And it's super. I probably will make this again. The bottom part of this, it's kind of an empire waist kind of thing. The bottom part is cut on the bias, which I really like. It just hangs beautifully. And I want to mention again, I've mentioned this in prior videos, patternreview.com. You can look up any pattern pretty much. They have pattern makers I've never heard of. And they certainly have the big four. And I looked this one up, and I think it was after I made it, and it was just so small. But, and no one said anything about the missizing, which was amazing. Everybody gave it 5 stars, I think. But I was a little bit disappointed that no one mentioned that. So that's interesting. But it's still a nice spot. And what's good about it is, just like on Instagram, which I'm learning to like, I think, but you can go into patternreview.com and research your pattern and look at photographs of people wearing that particular item. And it can help you to determine whether or not you want to make it for yourself, and how it really looks on a real human being. So, anyway, I think that's all. I wanted to mention, and I don't have the website that I can quote right now, and I'm too lazy to get up and find it. But I was actually looking for this pattern, because what I was going to do was to buy the next set of sizing up, because what I had ended at a 16 and I already cut off the 14. So I was going to just buy the 16, 18, whatever the next group of sizing would be. And so I did a Google search for discounted clothing patterns, and a site popped up where you can get McCall's, Butterick, Berta, Simplicity, New Look, and Quick Sew, and another pattern company I have never heard of, and I cannot think of the name of it right now. That particular company but the patterns aren't discounted. So they had this pattern on there, and it was, I think it was $4. And so most of the McCall's patterns were about $4. I don't like simplicity, so I don't like new look. But some of them, you have the option of getting the downloadable pattern and not having the actual pattern sent to you. And that weird company, whose name I cannot recall, offered only downloadable in a single size. So you would have to pick small, medium, large, extra large. I didn't see the sizing on there of, what constitutes a size large. I didn't see that. It seems like they have very limited information about the pattern. So what I would do, I might look at a McCall's pattern and look at what the picture on the front of the pattern was, but then I would go try to find it on the McCall's website so that I could actually see the details. So anyway, but that unusual company, their patterns were only downloadable, but they were 79 cents per pattern. I don't know, if I saw something that was really overwhelmingly beautiful and I was comfortable that the sizing was correct, I might do it. I may do it still, but we'll see. But you might want to just do a Google search, see if you can get that site, and I'll try to find it and put it below, and if you want to look at that, you can. So that's really all I have for today. Enjoy your weekend. Today is Saturday. It's fairly early in the morning, and it's raining and just a little bit chilly, but not too bad. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later.